was going to start off talking about how I'm spilling the tea today, but realise what I'm talking about does not do that, so I'm just going to put this down. Today instead I'm talking of course about Avatar, but in particular something that has bothered me pretty much since Avatar The Last Airbender ended and started, and that is how on earth Katara is a waterbender, because no one in her family is. And that got me thinking, maybe her mother Kaya was a waterbender. Don't know why I think that is the case. Well, firstly, let's do very basic science, and very basic in that I failed science, so please do not quote me on anything. I am a failure. But science in terms of genetics, there are, what is the phrasing? Okay, DNA. DNA is passed on to your descendants, and in Avatar we have this basic understanding that if, say you've got, look at Tenzin and Pema for example. Pema is a non-bender, Tenzin is a bender, so all of their kids are ending up to be benders, because bending seems to be more of, oh, what's the phrase? It's dominant. It is a dominant genetic thing. So to look at that and to look at Katara's family in response, Katara, as she says, is the last waterbender in the Southern Water tribe. As such, it makes me question how that is possible if she doesn't know any of her family or any ancestors who were waterbenders themselves to be able to make her be a waterbender. Now, people have brought up in the past Paku, Master Paku. He was engaged to her grandmother, but her grandmother left before they ever got married, and considering it was a misogynistic society, I very much doubt they allowed their men and women to have sexual relations before marriage, so it's unlikely that he is actually a biological ancestor. So no waterbending there. And of course Gram Gram, Hakoda, Sokka, none of them are benders, at least from what we are told with Gram Gram in particular. Nothing is mentioned there really. So where did Katara get her waterbending genetic from? Well, there's only one other family member that we don't really know anything about who it could have come from, and that is Katara and Sokka's mother, Kaya. Now, many people will bring up here that why would Kaya not be known to be a bender by Hakoda or Gram Gram or any other people in the Southern Water tribe if she was a waterbender? And don't worry, I have a rebuttal for that. Now, of course, during Homer's time, waterbenders were basically eradicated from the Southern Water tribe, and based on that and the fact that they were continuing to come back searching for new benders, it is likely that Kaya was taught from a young age to hide her bending skills, to the point that it became, oh, what's the phrase? Is invisible the, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but to the point that she it became repressed, to the point that she was no longer really able to use her skills anymore, but they were still there within her, hence Katara. So when the Southern Raiders do arrive on the shores of the Southern Water tribe, when he is questioning Kaya about where the last waterbender is, in our minds, whenever we see that scene, we are thinking Katara. But at this point, from what we are seeing with Katara herself, there are no signs of her being a waterbender and no mention of her being a waterbender. We see her playing snowball fights with Sokka as a kid, but no waterbending is used. So we can assume at that point there wasn't really any evidence that she was a waterbender because she hadn't shown any signs. Maybe there were, and maybe Kaya did know, but that's questioning it a little bit. But even then, I'm questioning stuff, so you guys can question that as well if you want. But Kaya gives herself up as the last waterbender. And while many say that is because she was protecting Katara, what if she did believe she was? Because she knows she is a waterbender, just that she no longer has her abilities because of the fact that she repressed them out of fear of being captured and out of her parents' fear of her being captured for being a waterbender. Now, of course, all of this in general is a bit of a stretch really, but considering that bending is shown to be a genetic based element in that it is passed down through ancestors, and there are many points of evidence to show that people with bending parents usually end up being benders themselves. And we can't even use Boomy as an example of someone who didn't receive bending because he ends up being an airbender. But obviously there are some cases of children within bending families who don't end up being benders. But more often than not, for someone to be a bender, someone within their ancestry has to have been a bender themselves. And from all evidence, no one else in Katara's ancestry actually has the ability to waterbend, except maybe the one family member we know nothing about. So from Kaya's words of being the last waterbender, her sacrifice, whether it be for the fact that she was the last waterbender to get them to leave, or the fact that Katara she was also protecting. She is the only ancestor we know nothing about, and everything that we've seen and everything that we can kind of assume, it is possible that Kaya, Katara and Sokka's mother, was in fact a waterbender. But what do you guys think? Do you think Kaya herself is a waterbender and that is how Katara ended up being a waterbender? Or do you think there may be an ancestor further in the past who could have been the person that allowed Katara to be a waterbender herself? Or is my science just in general horrifically off, which would not be a surprise? But whatever the case, let me know in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. In the description box are the links to my social media, my merchandise store, my Patreon, where you can support me if you can, and if you can't, just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.